You're listening to Modcast, episode 19, and my special guest today is someone I admire from afar. She's an amazing artist and the author of mods like Hedge Mage Armor and the Dremora Kynreeve follower. The artist formerly known as Pyro Elleh, but now goes by LH. How you doing?
Hi. Doing good.
Is it LH or is it Elleh?
It's whatever you want.
Okay. Because I'm kind of partial to Elleh.
A lot of people couldn't figure it out, and I didn't know what to tell them, so you can actually call me Ellie. That's fine.
Yeah, but it's not Ellie,
No.
right? It's Elleh. So you would kind of say
You're right. You're right. I just kind of respond to whatever people say.
so you would tend to say like Elleh.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I read it more or less when I read it back. But yeah, you are a amazing modder. You've come out with, I believe, 4 mods
Have
in
I?
total.
I've made a lot more than I've published, so...
Yes. It was very difficult for me to count to that number, but it was. I believe it's 4 mods in total. But those 4 mods have a grand total of over 10,000 endorsements. Like there's so many endorsements, I couldn't count that part. Yes, it's quite amazing.
I honestly haven't even looked at the numbers for a while, so that's...
You never went through that period where you were
Interesting.
excited to see that number go up?
Oh, I was definitely excited. Absolutely.
But after a while, it's just a number, right?
Yeah, well, I mostly hide in my little hole and make things.
So what you're saying is that you have tens of thousands of amazing mods that you just haven't shared with us, that you've kept to yourself.
They're all mine. All mine.
And why is that? What's the reasoning or the motivations behind that?
Behind not publishing everything?
Yes.
Well, I typically make things for myself just because I like making things.
Yeah.
So I'm not especially interested in the social aspect of it. I mean, I like people alright, but mostly I make mods to amuse myself.
So you're not interested in the fame and adulation that comes with it. You picked a good podcast to be on because, like I said, we have about 10 listeners, about 2,000 Russian bots. So
Awesome.
if you're not a fan of, grand exposure, this is the podcast to be on.
Beautiful.
But I didn't think about this, but what kind of mods are you making behind the scenes? Like, if you can't publish them, can you at least maybe describe what we're missing out on?
It's a lot of similar things to what I have published. I make a lot of weird little art things. I have made some other more like script heavy stuff, just weird little systems for myself to fool around with, but those probably won't see the light of day because I don't want somebody yelling at me that they're like broken and
No.
like, I know how to use them. So it's fine.
Just don't pay attention to the comments. Just remove that section entirely. You'll be fine. It's healthy not to read the comments, just in life, not just on Nexus. So what you're saying is there's no like giant quest DLC that you have hidden away that you just refuse to share.
No. I've made some little pieces of outfits that I'll use on specific characters or like hairstyles or whatever, and they're just little bits and pieces of things that don't have a proper place as a mod, or I just can't be bothered to like go the effort of actually publishing them, which can be a pain. So
that too.
Yeah.
You know what I've done because I'm so lazy? I actually just put all my mods onto one Nexus page. People are like, you have this radio mod, you have this quest mod. Like, why aren't they on separate pages? I go to the quest category and your mod isn't there. What do I go to the radio category and your mod isn't there? It's just everything's in one place. Why? And I'm just like, I'm lazy. It's just
it's a process.
Yes.
To even try to make the pages look halfway good.
Oh, that's true. Your pages are very detailed too. They're
Well, they
very
are, aren't they?
informative. And
Yeah.
is that something that you like to do? You just like to kind of dig into the details and make sure everything's really nice and professional.
Mostly it's so I don't have to explain myself too much, but then I end up having to explain myself anyway, so maybe it
Yeah.
doesn't work out so well.
You need to have your own wiki. That's what you need.
That'd be interesting. Yeah,
Just dive into this section.
it's something I'm trying to think about more is making things a little bit more self-explanatory when I do
Right.
actually publish something for public consumption, but it can be tricky.
Yes, it can be very tricky depending on the user base, but we love our user base. We love our 10 listeners. But going back a little bit, tell us a little bit more about yourself, I guess. Like, have you always been a gamer? Have you always been an artist? How did this all start?
Yes and yes. Both of those things. I've been playing games for pretty much as long as I've owned a computer that could play that little Microsoft hover car thing. And I just, I've always liked to do art. I carried sketchbooks around with me all the time,
Hmm.
pretty much all through middle school and high school and beyond. But because I'm already interested in the technology side of it, I just started really getting into digital art, and I'm always curious to learn new things. So eventually that turned into, but I can make things and put them in the games I play. That's so cool.
It is. It's amazing. What kind of things did you start out drawing? Was it fantasy based, or is there anything in particular
Oh,
that you
I'm
enjoy drawing?
I'm super into fantasy, yeah. Um, just whatever strikes my fancy, really. I don't sketch as much anymore unless it's a design for a project,
Mm-mm.
but I probably did mostly like fantasy characters and stuff like that.
And what was your first Bethesda game that you
Uh,
played?
I played Morrowind
Oh wow.
on the Xbox,
Nice.
which
Nice.
was interesting. I never got especially far in it because at the time I was quite young and it was the 2 hours of video games per week kind of deal.
Yeah.
So, you're not going to get especially far in Morrowind on that kind of
No.
schedule.
No.
But I I recall most strongly the absurd loading times on the
Yes.
Xbox.
Yes. Yes.
That was something.
Especially if your save gets bloated, because I think most people start out on console when it comes to Bethesda games, because we just most people in general are console players. Like there's a higher percentage of people
Hmm.
who play on that system. So my first game was Oblivion, and I was hooked after that. But after like 100 or 150 hours, yeah, you would literally have to leave the room, go do an errand, wash the dishes, or do something, take care of the yard, then come back, and then maybe it was halfway done.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, yeah, I didn't get that far, but I can imagine.
Did you play Oblivion on the PC?
I sure did. Yep, I played Oblivion on PC.
Did you mod it?
S I cracked open the, what was it called? The construction set?
Yes.
Yeah, I cracked that open a few times, but I didn't really make anything of note. I was just more fascinated with, oh my, I can actually get in here and look at all this stuff? That's so cool.
Yes.
So, poked around in it, but
But that poking around maybe laid the foundation for your future modding, I'd say, right?
oh, absolutely. I was
Yeah.
fascinated.
So you got kind of an idea of how the windows work. Just that kind of basic knowledge, I think, is important.
Hmm.
So even if you get frustrated, I think to anyone out there who wants to mod the first time, but just kind of poking around, just kind of learning the software more or less can help. I mean, maybe the next time you know, the next game comes out, you open it up, maybe it'll
Hmm.
come easier to you.
Absolutely.
And it did for you. Is that what happened with Skyrim? You're kind of like, because your first mod was circlet replacers, right? Or maybe not your first
Uh,
official mod, but
that's the first one I published.
yeah, yeah, that's right.
Actually, the very first thing, the Dremora follower,
Oh,
that was technically the first mod I made.
oh, nice.
However, the current iteration of it is nothing like it was originally.
Oh,
But
what was it originally?
well, I was very annoyed that there wasn't a Dremora Thrall spell.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I set out to fix that, and it just kept growing on itself until it became what it is.
And what would the distinction be in terms of just a Dremora Thrall, sorry, as opposed to the Summon Dremora Lord spell that they have in the vanilla game?
Well, the thralls can like follow you around, right? Instead of they last for 2 minutes and then
Yeah. Oh, so you wanted something that was
yeah,
permanent, more or less.
right,
Right. Right.
yeah, yeah.
So at first, did you just think about maybe extending the time on the Lord, or did you want something completely different? You were just like, I don't like the way this guy looks. I don't like how he dresses. Screw
Um,
him. I'm making something new.
I started off just copying the other thrall spells and putting my own creature in there instead.
Mm.
But because Dremora are more, they're humanoid, right?
Yeah.
So it seemed a little weird to me that they just like wouldn't even look at you or anything.
Yeah.
So I started trying to make him seem a little bit more lively, and
Hmm.
he eventually turned into his own character in my head anyway. None of that's in the mod, but
Yes. He started out cold, but over time, that frosty exterior melted away. And
still cold, just
oh,
slightly more alive, I hope.
still a jerk, just
Yeah. Yeah.
but actually, not dead,
Right.
not a robot. Yeah,
Right.
capable of
Exactly.
emotions.
Exactly.
But the current iteration, I mean, wow, it looks amazing.
Thank you.
Yes. I mean, because the regular vanilla Jamora Lord, he looks cool, but he's definitely a little wild. Like, I feel like if I was putting that armor on, or if I, put my hand on his shoulder, said good job, I'd cut myself because he's
Right.
so kind of spiky. But your Jamora is very, very sleek and yet still like feels Daedric in a way.
Yeah. That's what
It's
I was
difficult to
going
capture.
for.
Yes.
So I originally had him using a bow like a whole lot because my character tended to be more melee focused. So I thought, oh, range support.
Mhm.
And it just felt really weird to have a character that was supposed to be fairly mobile, like looking like that. Like he'd get stuck in a doorway if he didn't turn
Yes,
sideways.
definitely.
So
Yes. Yes, definitely. I would much rather have the follower that is able to move in and out of doorways and also can do so many amazing things, which is another thing that is unique about your follower, is they can taunt, they can protect. How did that come about, development, in terms of just making him so detailed in terms of just gameplay?
um, it's something I wanted for myself early on, and I did ask a few people when I was trying to get ideas about what things would actually be useful to have him do.
Hmm.
So I tried a whole bunch of stuff, and a whole bunch of stuff didn't work at all because the combat AI is not very agreeable with
No,
most
it's
things.
not. It's
They
not
kinda
designed
wants,
for the things.
no, it kind of wants to do its own thing. So the best you can do is just sort of gently nudge them in the direction that you want them to go. But yeah, I'd get very annoyed when I couldn't get him to move out of my way or wait somewhere convenient. I role play with him a whole bunch. Like, I don't drag him into towns and stuff. So I
Hmm.
really wanted to be able to tell him to like wait somewhere. That was probably the first thing I did was kind of recreate his own follower system,
Hmm.
so I could at least tell him to wait.
Yeah. You're like going to use the bathroom or whatever, and he just kind of like follows you right in.
Yes.
No.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So it's just, but yeah, I think that's kind of like the basic kind of stuff. I think he definitely went above and beyond that in terms of just because a lot of us, myself included, we kind of just do the vanilla sort of commands, and then once that's done, it's like, okay, done, no more of that.
Well, I enjoyed it.
Mm.
A lot of the things I did just to see if I could.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
It's a good learning experience.
for sure. I frequently, not just with this project, but I frequently have to rein myself in. Like, no, that's too much work. Calm down.
But that's the thing, though. You definitely have a passion for it, I think, and it comes across in your work. Is there a point where you thought, like, hey, I could do this for a living, or I could do this professionally, or this is what I want to do in life? Or has that point not come yet?
It feels like a very tangible possibility right now. But at the time, no, not at all. I was getting pretty down, actually.
Oh,
I don't get like real heavy with it or anything,
no,
but
no. Please.
a lot of my licenses were getting ready to run out for the software I use. So I thought, well, shoot. I mean, I can't afford to keep doing this
Yeah.
aside from little small things here and there. So it was a bit of a relief to find out people were actually interested in my skills that I had developed over the years.
Because that's kind of scary because it's like a hard deadline, right? It's like, oh,
Yeah.
time is running
Absolutely.
out. It's just,
Yep, I was watching that little license thing tick down like crap. I mean, I can kind of use Blender and that stuff, but
Netscope and
yeah,
free tools.
yeah.
But to really properly do it, do you need 3ds Max? Is that the thing? Or?
That's absolutely what I prefer to use. And as my interests have grown, it's something I want to become more proficient at because I can actually, present myself as.
What's the cost for 3ds Max?
I don't actually know.
Let's
I was.
Google that.
It's a lot.
It is. Ooh, yeah, you're right. It is $200 a month, $195 a month. If you get the yearly thing, it's $1,236. So you have to, if you buy like an extended package, you can get a discount, about $100 a month. But still, over time, it's a lot of money to spend on something that is not necessarily going to contribute in a monetary way. So
yeah, it's a little bit beyond hobbyist.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think your work is definitely worth investing in. So, do you have a Patreon or anything like that? Or
I do not.
oh.
I'm not on social media very much
Yes,
at all, and I feel like when it comes to Patreon, you actually have to be willing to market yourself and be more involved, and I'm just kind of not like that. So,
do you feel that it's just like the idea of just like having to kind of market yourself sickens you, or is it just like the anxiousness that comes with just being public?
Well, I mean, it can make me nervous, but I more just find it exhausting, and I just don't want to keep up with it. And
It's true.
it's not my idea of a fun time, so.
Yeah. And that's the thing. If you're not having fun, if you're not passionate about something, then it definitely becomes a chore. It's like work. It's like, oh, God.
Absolutely. Which I suppose isn't to my advantage, but it's okay. Work it out.
No. See, the one thing, though, is if you have a skill that is just so good, it's going to get you noticed. That's another way of just doing things. It's just if you're very good at what you do, you don't have to be a social butterfly, right? You just
Get somebody else to do that part for you.
Yes. I'm going to be your agent. That's what's going to do.
Thanks.
I'm terrible with people. I don't like leaving the house, but you know what? You know, one thing I am passionate about is your work. So I'm gonna shout it to the heavens.
Awesome. All my faith.
Yes. Speaking of which, one of the other things you've published is the Hedge Mage armor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I found striking, now it makes a little bit more sense because you have an artist background, you've drawn for all your life. But it did say in a post that you're completely self-taught, that you went into 3ds Max for like a couple weeks, like Tony Stark in a cave, and came out as Iron Woman.
Well, it was definitely more than a couple weeks. Way longer than a couple weeks, but yes.
Okay. Yeah, because I read that post and I was like, oh my god. If I tried that, there's no way I'd come out with anything good. I'd just basically render a piece of poop or something. That would be the thing I modeled after spending 2 weeks in 3ds Max. That's basically what it would be. But no, talk about how you kind of, I guess, develop those skills on your own. You're self-taught?
Yes, I am self-taught when it comes to digital art. Mm-hmm. Pretty much anything. I have taken some traditional art classes, which helped a lot with just, learning how to see things in a certain way and speeding up my sketches and so forth. But I've been using Photoshop since like a freshman in high school. So, give my age away here, but
no, I'm old. You're fine.
So I can say with confidence I have more than 10 years Photoshop experience.
Oh, nice.
So going into 3D stuff wasn't quite as daunting to me because I was already a little bit familiar with that part of it. But I'm very curious about things. So if I'm interested in something, I'll try it, and if I like it, I'll just kind of become obsessed, honestly, and throw myself into it. And
it's a very common trait, I think, among modders. All of us are just kind of like, we get super obsessed and passionate, and then we like build these monuments or whatever in our free time, which is crazy.
Yeah. Well, you have to be.
Yeah.
It's freaking complicated.
Yes. I can't imagine anyone spending this much time modding and hating it, because that would be weird.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you feel like, because it's a hedge mage armor, and as we know, hedge mages aren't officially trained, they're self-taught magicians, more or less. Do you feel like there's sort of a parallel there in the kind of like characters you play or you create outfits for and whatnot?
Oh, yeah, there definitely was. That was made for a very specific character. So the entire design was made for her. And I play different characters. Like, I don't name them after myself or anything, but, the first one I do is usually just me in Fantasyland.
Oh, yeah. Guilty as charged, me too.
Yeah. So I don't normally go into the roleplay stuff until I've played it once and come up with stories, but though I will say that that particular character is a lot meaner than me. I don't think I'm mean. I try not to be.
Maybe it's just a secret fantasy you want to live out. You want to be jerk. Want to summon jerks.
Yeah.
Make a jerk squad.
Yeah. Oh, no. A good observation.
Yes, I should be a psychoanalyst in my free time. But no, you're completely kind and nice, and maybe it's all a facade and you're just trying to trick me, but nah. No, but are those two connected then, in a way? Is the hedge mage the one who summoned the Kynreeve call?
Yes.
Ah.
Yeah. That's all part of my same adventure I had.
It's kind of like the Marvel Extended Universe. It's just you connect all these things.
Well, the funny story about that armor and the follower character, I got partway through. I've only played through the main quest of Skyrim once previously to this recent one, and I started making this outfit I wanted for my character, and I kept thinking, I really don't want to start a new playthrough until I finish these mods. And it was like a year and a half later before and in that time the Dragonborn DLC had been released, and I didn't touch it because I wasn't ready to play the game yet. But I bought it like day one.
Yes.
And it was sitting there on my hard drive for a very long time. And not all that long ago, I finally got to do my playthrough with the characters I had carefully constructed for myself. It was worth it. It was a lot of fun, but
I still have not played Dragonborn.
really? That's a good one.
Yeah, it's weird because I've modded parts of it. I've added NPCs and things that have used Dragonborn, but I haven't actually played it.
Oh no, you'll get the whole thing spoiled for you. Dang.
Yeah, it's weird. Everything I know about it has been through that lens, I guess, more or less.
Yeah. Well, I played the vampire one.
Yes.
That I suddenly cannot remember. Dawnguard.
Dawnguard,
Yeah,
yes.
that's what it's called. I played Dawnguard, but I'm not that into vampires.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of like, I don't particularly want to be a vampire or hunt vampires, but I want to see what the story is. So
you just
we'll
want to
just go
let
with
them
it.
be. It's just
But,
let them fight each other off. I'll just be over here summoning.
yeah, pretty
tomorrow.
much. Yes, much cooler than undead.
No, I think
Dragonborn,
it's just the
worth.
timing, right? I played Dawnguard, but I have not played Dragonborn, and I think it's because when Dragonborn came out, I was just so into modding that it didn't even I couldn't play the game anymore. It was just I wanted to make stuff. I think when Dawnguard came out, it was still that moment in time where playing the game was still fresh and fun. So I can totally see why that was the case.
It was in a way kind of good that I put it off for so long because I hadn't actually sat down and played the game for the fun of it for years. I'd been making stuff for it, but I hadn't played it.
Yeah.
So when I finally got to sit down and do that playthrough, I had forgotten a whole bunch of stuff about the main quest and the world, so...
Yeah, it's like being able to play it for the first time again, right?
Almost. Yeah, not quite, but it was good times.
Do you think you could ever go back to Morrowind or Oblivion, or are those games just too graphically and gameplay-wise outdated to play?
I've fairly recently tried to go back to Morrowind, and I feel like unless I mod the crap out of the gameplay, it's just gonna annoy me.
Yeah.
I forgot how frustrating the dice roll combat can be, especially early on. Like, what do you mean I didn't hit him? He's right there. So, yeah.
Yeah, everything about I think Oblivion, there's still some elements that are similar to Skyrim, but with Morrowind, there's the dice roll stuff, there's the dialogue, which is basically just clicking on and getting a wall of text coming in, and it's just like the NPCs don't necessarily have distinct, I guess, personalities. Like they'll all have the same dialogue for Solstheim or something. It's just a click in text, and there's not as much voice acting either. So obviously with the way the text is, and yeah, and then cliff racers and it's.
Oh god, yes, I distinctly remember the cliff racers when I played it on the Xbox all those years ago.
And especially with random dice rolls, it's just,
yeah. Oh my goodness, I actually enjoyed the way that, well, I'd prefer it to be updated, but I liked the way the journal worked.
Oh,
in
you
Morrowind,
did.
and how you can look at things that they're talking about in dialogue, and there'll usually be like a little link.
Oh, right.
So you can ask them about different topics. I actually really like that because sometimes I would just forget about what I was supposed to be doing, and you can actually look at your journal and look at your notes and say, "Oh right, I was supposed to bring those mushrooms to the cat lady."
Yes.
Yeah.
That is, in addition to like the hyperlink text kind of stuff, that is pretty cool in how it sort of ties together, in that the game kind of assumes if you read something, you know it automatically, that it's going to be burned into your skull forever. And but memories don't work that way. You kind of forget. So it's just, you can go back, you can look through it, you can thumb through it. Whereas now the quest logs only have the most recent, I guess, description.
Yeah, it's a little disappointing.
Well, maybe they'll change it in the next game.
Yeah, Are you listening, Bethesda?
Yes,
Let's do
definitely.
this for me.
They are definitely one of the 10 people. It's Todd and 9 others.
Yes. Yes. Special request.
Yes.
Oh,
But yeah, in addition to the fantasy games, have you ever thought about modding Fallout or playing any of the other Bethesda titles in particular? Now that you have this literacy with the creation kit.
I'm about. I think I'm about halfway through the main quest of Fallout 4,
Mm-hmm.
but I haven't picked it up in a long time, so I can't actually tell you what's going on in my current playthrough of Fallout 4. But I didn't manage to get that far without opening up the creation kit because I wanted to change something. So I've poked around it a little bit. I haven't really made anything for it yet. It's not off the table. I'm just not terribly familiar with it, so I don't really have any ideas.
Are you interested though in the particular aesthetic or style in terms of like, because I'm assuming we're talking about outfits and clothes and stuff like that, right? Or are we talking about buildings and temples and other things?
The thing I actually started making for myself was to change a lot about the inside of home plate. That's what it's called, right? Yeah. There are some things that. So I haven't done much beyond just fiddling around with
So
and stuff.
this is more of like interior decorating kind of thing. Is that what interests you about Fallout?
If I were to make something for Fallout, it probably would be art related.
Oh, okay.
But I would have to be inspired. And I'm not yet.
You were almost inspired. You did open up the kit.
I did.
But it just wasn't enough. It's a fleeting moment.
Yeah, I'd have to take a good long look at the art and think about how I would do something like that in my own flair. And
what would home plate look like in your world, in your mind, in your vision?
I actually ripped most of the stuff out of it, and I put a bunch of the workstations in it that shouldn't be there.
Oh, okay.
For the sake of convenience.
Yes.
And I was a little bit frustrated by trying to move things around in game. I couldn't get them to go where I wanted them to go. So, in a way, I'm just kind of cheating.
So you're talking about more of the functionality of it, the gameplay aspect of it.
Yeah. I was having trouble decorating it in game, so that was another part of it. But, yeah. I was basically cheating by not having to, scrounge for this stuff.
So what you're saying is you were inspired to open up the console and type TGM.
Kinda, yeah.
Toggle God mode. And that's
Yeah.
where your inspiration lay in this game.
Yeah, sorta.
So look for that mod. God mode and home plate by LH.
Infinite monies. And,
Yes. There's a crate, has all the goodies you need, all the crafting materials. It's just it's a gun that basically kills people in one hit. It's just all of that.
Yeah.
It's just all of it.
Nobody coming into my home plate. Get off my lawn.
Get off your baseball field, more or less, I guess.
Yes.
The Boston Red Sox, where they play, that's your lawn technically. You go to Fenway Park and you're like, what are these baseball players doing on my lawn? It's just ridiculous.
Gosh, how rude.
Yes, definitely. Baseball players are known to be rude. The other game that's coming out soon, which is a kind of a departure from both I shouldn't say soon, coming out someday. I mean, who knows?
Someday.
Yeah, someone could be listening to this like a day before it releases. But Starfield, which is basically Bethesda in space. Do you enjoy space games? Do you enjoy that particular genre enough to where you'd want to mod that game?
As far as I know, there hasn't been anything released beyond that teaser, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so. But I do like space. I like fantasy, and then I also like space. So nice. I'm very intrigued. I love sci-fi because, well, I should say I love sci-fi fantasy. It's just another branch of fantasy in space. So
It's Skyrim with spaceships. Skyrim with phasers and blasters.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm super curious about it.
Do you have any particular like fashion influences or anything like that? Do you enjoy like playing dress up in real life?
I would if I had infinite money. Um, I do like clothes, and I love looking at jewelry and shoes and interesting outfits and all of that. I don't often have the time and funds to get really into it, but yeah.
Use that for inspiration with your mods.
Yeah, sometimes. A lot more of my inspiration comes from, fantasy movies and stuff, but
Okay. Yeah, with the circlets, isn't there like a similarity to elvish kind of circlets in like the Lord of the Rings? I'm not sure.
if there was, it wasn't deliberate, but I
Okay.
have watched the Lord of the Rings trilogy like a lot. So,
Yeah. It feels sort of more ornate and less clunky, I guess. It just feels like something. I don't know this for sure, but something like that a high elf or somebody of stature would wear your designs for the circlets. Whereas I think the base game, the vanilla circlets, are more kind of just like a Disney princess circlet or something, right?
I definitely wanted something a little more delicate, which is the whole reason I set off making them for myself. Because I like rugged looking outfits, but I also like pretty things. So I like having those little touches of, well, sparklies.
Yes,
But
yes. Who doesn't like sparklies? Even manly men should love sparklies, right? Although
yeah,
I guess technically these are only for ladies.
right. And that's another case where I made it for myself and then just kind of released it. So even though a handful of times in the past people have claimed that I've had something against men, I
Oh,
don't. I
wow.
just didn't want to port it over. Like for the male models, it's a lot of work.
Yes,
I
yes.
just didn't want to do it. That's the entire
Look,
story with that.
look, we want to look pretty too, okay?
I believe you. I'm just
Yes.
being lazy. That's basically it.
No, no, that is completely fine. You didn't even have to publish it. Like all these angry people who are angry for you not porting something, doing all this work for free. Like, do they realize that you didn't even have to publish it? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, think about what their actions have done. They've kept you like from publishing 300 other amazing mods that you've now hidden from
Yeah.
us. Yes,
Oh goodness.
including
No,
this big quest DLC.
yeah. Honestly, I'm mostly just when I do publish things, it's because I like the end results, and I think, well, this kind of fits somewhere that maybe somebody else is looking for something like this. I'll just throw it up there,
No.
see what happens. So I'm not deliberately designing things that I publish on Nexus. Anything that I do for free, I'm not designing it for mass consumption.
Especially if the original design doesn't necessarily fit or isn't really like sort of your intent to have it be for both genders, right? Maybe you design something to have a
Right.
specific look, and you also did the Kynreeve armor for the men only, right? I believe.
Right. And it was for the same reason. I made it for a specific character, and I just didn't want to go to the effort of making it for the opposite gender.
No, but see, you make it sound like you're being lazy, but you're totally not because it's a lot of work, and you're doing it for free. So it's just people should appreciate the work that is done. But that's not the way it works sometimes. Like they just want more. They want.
There have been a few female conversions of that one made by other people, I think. I don't. I know at least one of them's been published on Nexus, so I don't mind when people do that stuff.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
prefer it if they shoot me a message first, but that's cool.
As long as
I
they're
don't
not,
care.
asking for money on their Patreons or something.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I don't mind at all if people want to use my art for their own projects. It just kind of comes down to whether or not they're gonna ask for money, because that's just rude.
Yeah, our community that we're a part of is a very strange one. But it's very diverse and a lot of weirdos.
Yeah.
Actually, I shouldn't say diverse because if you look at the hot files, like they often are of one mind. But yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So, anything that you have on your plate? Anything coming up?
Nothing that anybody should be looking forward to me publishing, no.
Oh, mostly
Uh,
just secret projects. Yes.
yeah, not so much secrets as things that I don't know if I'll ever finish them or finish them enough that I would want to publish them. But I'm always working on something.
Do you ever think that you would just decide to release all your unpublished work?
No, no, I wouldn't. Uh, I have an outfit that I never completed because I wasn't terribly happy with the design, and honestly, I've kind of lost interest in it.
Okay.
So,
But
sorry.
still, can we start like a movement, like a poll or something? Or a what do they call those things where they online a petition? Can we start an online
Yes,
petition
those
to have you?
petitions that always work so
Yes,
well.
yes, definitely. How many people do I need to get to sign this petition in order for this thing to be released?
Oh, I did actually just think of something that I have
Okay.
that I was gonna release, but I was kind of rushed and I decided that I should just take my time with it and do it the way I want. But it's like a fan work. It's fan art basically. So I don't know how many people would be interested in it.
Oh, it
But
depends. A fan art of what?
I made. Are you familiar with Devil May Cry?
Yes, I haven't played all the games, but I definitely know the game. The
Okay.
Dante, silver hair, beat everything
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
I made my own version of Yamato for
Oh.
Skyrim for myself because it looks cool. But that was made before 5 was released, so it's like pre 5 redesign. And I did it just because I wanted to. I wanted some more experience making weapons. So there's been other weapons I've made but haven't released. And yeah.
Is this for your character?
I don't have anyone in particular in mind for it, but they do use one-handed weapons a lot. Although it could be a two-handed weapon. I don't know, I haven't thought about that.
So I have an idea. What if, since you don't want to do the marketing that comes with being like a social media star or whatever, you could just create a social media account and say, okay, if I get to 10,000 followers, I'm gonna release all my unpublished work and blah blah. And you put pictures and teasers. Boom, 10,000 followers. See, as your agent, as your new agent, this is what I subscribe.
That's great, agent. Great advice. Wouldn't happen though.
Because the people want this stuff. The people want the high quality
Yeah.
stuff.
I do often think about looking through my backlog and picking out things I actually really like and want to finish, but again, when it comes to my free things, it's just kind of whatever strikes my fancy at the moment.
Do you have trouble looking back on old work and restarting, or is it something that it comes naturally, I guess?
Oh, I really do. Once I'm done with something, I want to be done with it, so I get really annoyed if I look back at things and go, oh crap, I really need to fix that.
Do you get that sort of thing that where you look back and you oh, that's terrible? You just
Oh
like,
yeah, all the time. Yep. Yeah, well, I can look at things and say, well, at the time that was pretty cool, but then I can look at it and see everything that's wrong with it.
And that's the sort of the dilemma, because I mean, if you do change it, then 10 years from now you might hate that, and then it'll never end.
Yeah.
And so it's just
Yeah. There is absolutely a time to let go.
Look forward, not back. But overall, I think all your stuff is amazing. So even if you may not necessarily like it, I still think it's worth releasing. So
Well, thank you.
yes, just gotta start that social media drive, that online petition. We're gonna get 1 million signatures. How many signatures would it take? 1 million?
it just wouldn't happen, man. It wouldn't happen.
Damn.
The only reason I mention the DMC thing is because
Just to torture us? Yes.
I really want to release it, but I want to do it right. And it might end up. I actually had started to make a Nexus page for it, and that I ended up deleting because I was just gonna say, well, I made the art for it, so I'm just gonna stick it at the forge, and that still might happen. It just didn't feel right having a named weapon at a forge.
It's all part of that secret personality that you have hidden. That you just want to torture us, just want to
I'm
tease us with
secretly
these.
evil. Yeah.
Well, given that you're secretly evil, I'm still happy and honored that you came on this pod and talked about your work and some of the things you're into. So I'm very thankful for that.
You're welcome. I had fun.
Yes. And hope to talk to you again soon after we get to a million people in the petitions. All right. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.